this time after that false start. West Tigers Faithful, episode 25. Fins down is actually streaming live right now correctly. So let's hit the music.
Roll the tape.
Roll the tape. Here we go. Let's go.
Thanks, AJ. West Tigers Faithful, 25, quarter century, all of that. But no one cares about that number. The most important number is two. 2 wins on the trot. And a second consecutive Wincast. Joe McCord is with me. How are you, mate?
Pretty good. Pretty good. That's 2 weeks in a row that we won. And what's the common denominator?
Quantum.
Yes, the quantum denominator. That's right. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the season when we're closer to the premiership.
Okay, all right, yeah, you can keep that under wraps for now, but just keep manifesting wins, all of you out there. Just keep on.
Thank you, Zoe Marshall.
Yes, thank you for putting it in our minds, Zoe, and leading us all to the promised land. She's effectively the Moses of the modern age.
That's one way to put it. How you going, Clayton? I see you're watching. This is our first ever live, live version of West Tigers Faithful. So we won't stop too much and engage with the listeners. But look, if you say something interesting, you might get a shout out. But I do believe Jared's got an agenda.
Yeah, I do. So, yeah, quick disclaimer: Clayton is my father. Hello, Dad.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's been on this show before. So,
mate, he literally was having a chat with me on the live stream I did last time the whole time. I didn't know he was your dad.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
He just seems like one of the fellas.
I think he was our first ever guest. So that's something that he'll always have the wood on, the likes of the Johansson brothers and Shannon Gallant and so forth. So that'll be a trivia question somewhere down the line, I reckon. But moving on, before we really kick into today's agenda, your shirt, the logo strewn across it happens to be our sponsor. Do you want to roll in and give the correct due diligence to our wonderful partners?
Yep. I want to do it right though. Like I usually sort of just waffle a bit and wing it. So give me exactly 20 seconds. Just talk about something else for 20 seconds.
Okay, no worries at all. West Tigers fans, thinking about where we are right now compared to 12 months ago, I think you'd be forgiven for having a bit of deja vu. 2 weeks on the trot. Last year we beat Cronulla 32-12. We beat Parramatta 32-6. Obviously the quality of the two sides is a little bit different. But the win against Redcliffe was a pretty different game to the one that we played against Parramatta last year. But I think the feel of this team and this squad is very, very different. And with that in mind, I think you have a right to be excited. How excited, I'm not too sure, but we might decipher that a little bit later on. You got enough time? You had enough time now, Mac?
That was excellent, mate. Good job. And just like the Tigers, small businesses need to be fast, fierce, and always on the front foot. That's why we use Pinch Payments, the Aussie-made platform that helps you get paid on time every time. Whether you're sending invoices or chasing payments, Pinch takes care of it automatically. Incorrect. Doesn't send invoices. That's wrong. Bad GPT. Pinch takes care of it automatically so you can focus on the game ahead. Simple setup, real local support, and no more drop balls on cash flow. Get on the front foot, check out getpinch.com.au and take the stress out of getting paid. It was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Pretty good. For a GPT threw it up for me, like real quick.
Yeah. Thank you, chat.
Yeah, thank you, Chat GPT. Thank you.
And thank you, Pinch.
And thank you, Pinch.
West Tigers 30-18. on the road again, KO Stadium, 2 successive wins on the road. Last year we only managed 2 wins on the road in 12 games. So to have 2 already at this part of the season, extremely exciting. But what was even more exciting was the ability for this team to come down, to come over the top of Redcliffe from 18-6 down and score 24 unanswered points in a pretty scrappy attacking performance. Joe, you were there, mate. 2 weeks in a row, you bring 2 wins. Mate, what did you see? What did you feel? I know that you said that you absolutely loved the stadium, but tell me all. What did you get a feel for on Saturday night?
A sense of inevitability, if I'm being honest. Obviously Redcliffe looked really strong in the first half. They were kind of punching a lot of holes in our defence, and we really looked stressed out a lot. I think Nicarima and Katoa particularly were doing a lot of damage on the feet, which obviously, should give us some food for thought. The running halves giving us that many issues is obviously something our middles need to be a little bit more mindful of. But even though we were down 6-0 and then 18-6 at the worst interval, even the fans that I was sitting with, there was this just sense of inevitability. Like at no point did that sense of West Tigers dread set in. Like there was just this, in the stadium at least, the Dolphins fans never really were up. They were never really up and about. They felt nervous, you could tell. Yeah, I don't know. The Tigers, their body language never dropped. You know what I mean? Like looking like in the first half, I was at the end of the field where they were, where the Dolphins were running towards. So, the Tigers collecting themselves under the goalposts after tries happened a few times, and there was no dropping of heads, no negative body language. The vibe looked good after they conceded the tries. I'm looking around to see who's doing what, and you can see like Jerome walking over to a specific person and like asking a very specific question and getting an answer and being like, okay, like it was very, yeah, there was a lot of, it seemed like they were really trying to actually figure out how to change the tide of the game, and at no point did they seem like they were out of control.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's in spite of what I would call an ugly first 30. I think that Redcliffe looked like they had all the running and that they probably were a little bit more switched on to start the game. As you said, their running halves, but also their second play made things really, really hard for us. They were turning their centres inside. Herbie Farnworth was giving us nightmares on every carry up until full time. And obviously the try where Saifiti poured through off a Nicarima ball, where he got the ball off an offload, bounced across, and then threw a ball to an on-running Saifiti. It was a bit of a worry for us, and it sort of crept out a little bit, and it got to 18-6. But as you said, it kind of felt like once the cartel got on, Birdie, Tal, and Royce, that it was kind of like, okay, all right, things will be okay, and we'll win momentum back, and we did. And that sort of crucial period where it's been funny this year, normally 5-10 minutes out from halftime, the Tigers concede. We've managed to find points and really set the tone for the second half, which has been really nice. That's not something that typically happens. And, for Talon Silva to come and bring points 2 weeks in a row, for Royce and Jack to go 1-2 for Tal to score, typify their impact. And, those boys, again, they set the tone for the second half. It was good to have them on field for that first 10-15, and then the class of upper side brought us home.
Yeah, it's a really exciting win, because I think it shows that we actually have a fairly balanced top 17 where it's a pretty strong top 17. So like even if Redcliffe, had a bit too much strike in the early going, once the game leveled up a bit after that first period, as you rightly pointed out, I was watching when Hunt and Bird came on. There was exactly that. Like in the stadium, there was a sense of like the way that they ran out there. It was like, here come the cavalry. And I didn't get the impression that that the Dolphins fans or the Dolphins players were really appreciative of either of them. I think that those guys are proving to be an excellent bench impact. It is a nice bench. Like Royce Hunt, Jack Bird, former Origin player, Talon De Silva, very very talented young hooker. Sione Fainu is a solid player. It's a good bench. It was very exciting. One thing I wanted to point out, just a interesting little fact, across the two senior grades, 6 tries to hookers from dummy half. 6 tries to hookers from dummy half, all from running it from dummy half. After, what did I say to you? Well, it's always a mistake to run it from dummy half on the last. It literally never works. And then, 6 tries to dummy halves. I think only one of them was on not the last tackle.
The difference was that it was junior grades that were doing it at the wrong times, and the senior grades were doing it at the right times. So to all our junior hookers, had just pick your moments. But you mentioned Sione Fainu. I wanted to give him his flowers because obviously he doesn't get on at the same time as the boys. He's sort of had the closing out stint. He probably gets 20 to 25 at the back end, but I think he had a few more minutes than what he did the week previous, and just some of his footwork late at the line, some of his cleanup work defensively. Like this is a guy that 2 years ago we thought was a waste of a top 30 contract. He worked his backside off in the 2024 preseason. Had a great debut year last year, and he doesn't look like he's showing any signs of slowing down. Obviously, Dave Clemens left, and for a multitude of reasons, but I can understand why the club, was more than happy to see, him leave, because you've got a guy like Sione who is only improving by the week, and it's really awesome to see his resolve. But in addition, the steely defensive resolve of Samuela Fainu is something that I really want to talk about. That tackle that he made where he jammed Jack Bostock under the ribs and set the ball free was, probably the turning point in the match where momentum truly swung. It was coming our way, but at that point it was like, okay, all right, we're coming home with a wet sail today. But some of the contact that he's made on that left edge next to Jerome Luai, I think the confidence that man has given Samuela is so invaluable, and to see Sammy, make that impact and have those quality moments defensively has me so excited because the attack will come.
I think that it's probably not unfair to say Samuela has been a little bit quiet in the first 2.5 games. And for a guy who won now Player of the Year in his first season last year as a 20-year-old, that was a little bit surprising. All of the names that have been standing out each week, he hasn't been registering, and it's good. I think that the fact that that was the case is probably what inspired him, because he's probably like, I'm standing out here posted on an edge, not doing anything. I got to make an impact, man. I got to make an impact, and make an impact he did.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about our attack. First half, there were some dodgy moments, but second half, I don't think people sort of remember but that first 20 minutes, we botched some opportunities. We took some wrong options. I think that there was a failure from our halves to probably take the right option or let the ball sing when it was required. Look, we got the result, and it's a sign of a good team that you're still finding points despite the fact that your attack is clunky. But I think there was some moments that I think both Lockie and Jerome would like to have back. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head. The attack has been, for the most part, pretty bad in all 3 games. It's been only in sort of bursts where it comes together, and it seems to be happening when the other team runs out of petrol, which is so unlike the Tigers. One of the things I was concerned about coming out of last week's game was the weather, the temperature, might have taken a bit of a toll on the boys. But no, this week they again had all the running at the end of the game. In fact, they really started to get on top of Redcliffe physically pretty much after about the 45th minute. It seems like that, that big off season all of the army training camp. Shout out to those guys. They were there on the weekend. The army training dudes from the Thrive, or what is it? Thrive. How's
It's
it?
the Leadership Academy.
No, what's the name of the documentary?
Oh, Survival Thrival.
Survival Thrive. Yeah, Survive to Thrive. They were there on the sidelines. But yeah, it is correct. The attack has not clicked, and I think that that probably means that we've got so much more improvement left in us, right? And I think that is one of the things that's kind of causing some of the fandom of the NRL to like look at these results and go, well, it was Parramatta and Redcliffe. They're two of the three teams that haven't won yet. They're potentially, in the running for the spoon. Don't count your chickens, Tigers fans. And to that I say, well, we're Tigers fans. We're not used to winning. So we're going to take the wins as they come. But also, we have not even come close to looking like the best version of this side yet. Jerome Luai has barely had an impact. Lachlan Galvin is pulling the wrong rein half the time still. And we just did that at away grounds 2 weeks in a row, as you pointed out at the start. Maybe it was on the failed version, but two wins last year away, 2 this year already after round 3, and coming off a 6-day turnaround in the heat. So I think that, and I thought Redcliffe were pretty good, to be honest. I was a little bit concerned that, sorry for waffling on a little bit, but I was a little bit concerned that that if we got blown away early, that might get away from us, right? Because that's been kind of the pattern in the past, is that the Tigers, if a team gets 2 or 3 tries in front of them, it's like they kind of can't really rein it back in. But it seems to have changed.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. The Magic Round game and the Round 4 game that we had against Redcliffe last year, it was kind of like they were always just ahead by a try or two and then they just put us to rest.
Yeah.
This year, the quality of players that we have, the leaders that we have, the fitness and the beliefs that they have just shone through. I think that, in years gone by, if after that first 20-minute block where they couldn't crack the defensive line because they couldn't execute, they probably would have thrown their cue in the rack and given
That's
up.
right. Yeah, the head goes down, the confidence drops. Everybody starts trying to make individual efforts to win the game. And that's what Luai has brought to the team, even though he hasn't had much of an impact ball in hand. As Appy pointed out, Jerome was out there, letting them know that they had to just keep getting to their spots, focus, do their jobs. And so that's, that worked. There was no individual, like, big efforts from Alex Seyfarth trying to throw a bloody offload or, crazy shit like this. It was like, nope, they just stuck to the plan. And eventually the Redcliffe defense was breached once, and then it didn't get stopped.
Yep. Just back on Jerome, obviously, there's no try assists or tries to his name, but there are plenty of try involvements here. Round 1, the ball to Dewey to unlock Skelton. Some of the work that he put in against Parramatta, Taruva's first try where he went deep in the line to give space for Galvin for Buller, speaks to that. But I thought the most obvious involvement was the first try that we scored, where he bounced, turned a couple of players, looked to turn a couple of players under, squared up the line, threw the ball out the back. He doesn't typically scheme across the right side. So it's not like he's completely forgotten how to attack. He's just still finding his feet, and there's timings and combinations and things that are going to come. And like you say, that's what makes this really exciting. But the things that he's probably still getting used to are the intricacies of halfback play in another system. He knew the Penrith system back to front. You could tell that last year because he slotted in beautifully when he was given a crack at 7. But just in terms of some things around last tackle options and just putting the ball where it needs to go. I'd like to see him find touch. I'm not really seeing that at the minute. And I wouldn't mind to see an early kick every now and again just to turn these guys around. That's something that we really haven't employed, and that's something that I'd like to see as time goes on. But again, he's 3 games into a 5-year contract as a halfback in a totally different system. So he's still learning the ropes. But in saying that, I've got no doubt he'll get there. And as you said in the weeks previous, he helps us win every day of the week to win on Saturday, irrespective of how much of an influence he has on the field.
Yep, I agree. I think there's also an element of if he doesn't have to do it, what's the problem, right? Like if he starts trying to overplay just to get his stats up, it might break everything. Like it's working as it is. Like he's he's responsible indirectly for pretty much all the points, as you point out. Like he gets it at first receiver, and he's the one choosing which direction to take the play if it's not Appy. And he's getting the ball out quick. You know, he's making those decisions quick enough, which takes the pressure off of Lachlan and Jareem because they have more time with the ball, which is very important for inexperienced ball players.
Yeah, I mean, look, and again, it's not like, he's completely, out of his depth. The short pass that he threw to Jack Bird, probably 25 out from halftime, was beautiful. It was just, a last-ditch ankle tap from Farnworth, I think, that stopped it. Defensively, obviously, we've gone another week conceding the least amount of points from rounds 1 to 3 in the league, so that's always awesome considering where we've come from. But the difference from first half to second half, we looked like we really struggled with that second phase first half. Line speed wasn't great. Some of our contact and wrestle could have been better. Second half, we looked so much more calm, so much more in control. We slid off really nicely, and we just seemed to contain them. It felt like to me that once we got to 18 all, and then eventually 24 to 18 before Uppy's try, that was when we looked the most comfortable. It was really, really interesting. Where a lot of the time Tigers teams drop their bundle. It was extremely impressive.
Yeah, they don't lose their cool at the moment. They haven't got any hotheads out there that are, sort of creating the chaotic energy that others might feed off. They've just got cool, calm, and collected. Jerome Luai, premiership winner. Appy Coruscant, premiership winner. Royce Hunt comes from a great system. Terrell May comes from a great system. Like, these players know what it feels like to win, so they don't get nervous about losing. And I think that that's really rubbing off on everybody. I'm very impressed. I think just on the Jerome thing, I wonder whether the trick that he's missing is he's not running the ball as much. Like, I feel like if he starts actually like attacking the line, every couple of sets with a well-timed burst, it might open up the rest of his game. I just wanted to sort of get that out there because it is his primary threat, and if he starts bothering making the defenders think that he's going to run, then it might open up the pass a little bit more. But at the moment, it seems like the system's working, so I'm not super bothered by it. I feel like that at the start, it was odd. It didn't seem like that we were doing all that much differently. Like the defensive system just sort of stayed at the same level, right? So like while we sort of stayed at the same level, the Dolphins like started off really high level and then they sort of fell away and we didn't drop off. So they did a couple of really nice things that led to tries, mostly through Daniel Saifidi, and off the back of a well-timed offload. So I think that if there's room for improvement for us defensively, it is probably early in the games with contact and wrapping the ball, which I did mention last week as I thought was one of the potential issues we might face, is if they got a lot of second phase and we weren't like, really aggressive in covering offloads or like loose passes, that they might score enough tries to beat us. And as it turned out, I think that was pretty accurate. It's just that they didn't score enough tries to beat us anyway. But outside of the second phase, outside of the, those sort of scenarios, we pretty much had them covered.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I guess I want to pose the question to you of watching that first stint from Uppy. You probably didn't anticipate he would have had the second stint that he did, but that's a sign of a true champion to put that team on his back and just, despite not playing too well in that first half, to almost see what Talon did in his stint and go, all right, yeah, okay, I'm going to blow this game to pieces. And he did.
Yeah, it's probably ominous that he did that, because I think that Appy's a little bit low-key a confidence player, I think. And being able to, have that first performance of the year that was very much like Appy at his best, probably going to mean that he's going to stay at a pretty high level for a while now. I think that, he had kind of been really feeding the ball to Jerome and Lachlan, and not really ball playing much himself. But when he got down in the red zone there, and he had the back line set out to the left, and I remember watching it back. The commentators counted the numbers, and we had an overlap to the left. And he just went, you know what? Nah, I'm just going to go 12 to the right, Safer to the right. And he just went bang bang. They scored. Just goes to show that he can just create a try. Like, he could literally just create a try. Like, how many dummy halves in the NRL would be able to put together like a two-play set play with Alex Twal and Alex Seyfarth as the running players and create a try? Like, think about that. How many players are there in the world that could, in the red zone, wield the weapons that are the Alex Twain and create a try with no other weapons at all?
Says it all, doesn't it? But look, Alex Seyfarth, I think, had his best game in the back row.
Right.
Yeah, he was awesome. In attack, looked really effective.
Who was defending him? Was it Finifuyaki?
I believe so, yeah.
So he's a young edge back rower. I think maybe he's a little bit like his ex-teammate Nanai. Maybe he's a little bit of a defensive liability still, even though he's such an explosive attacker.
Yeah, quite possibly it might be something in the water up there in Townsville. But nonetheless, Alex had a stormer of a game. But I think the two that we haven't spoken about that need to be spoken about, Fanua Bole and Terrell May, developing into a very, very handy starting front row pairing. And to be honest, and I said as much on X, I've been critical of Fanua's defensive efforts, but he only missed one tackle on Saturday and ran for 200 metres. And I think if he didn't outplay Terrell, he certainly matched his efforts. What did you think?
Oh no, I think he outplayed Terrell. I know that Terrell got 3 points with one of the Daily M judges, but
yeah, he's going to win the Daily M, I think.
he's on 9 points. Ponga's on 12, so he's up there.
Him and Payne Haas are going to be first and second.
Payne Haas will be pretty hard to beat, but I think Ponga's got to be the short price favourite if he stays fit. Sorry, I was critical of Bole too. Like, I've been saying he needs to be starting on the bench because, each week so far he's had 4 or 5 missed tackles. Look, I'm still not convinced, but if he puts up 200 plus meters and puts the defense under that much pressure, you take the missed tackles. Like, you don't need to have 2 brick walls. You can have one strike prop and 1 brick wall like Terrell May. That's totally fine. If that's Bole's new normal, we've got a serious footballer on our hands. And he's a very attractive man.
Yeah, he is. He's probably the best sort in the team.
Yeah.
And he loves the mic. But those two boys have got a big test this week. But and we'll get to that in a second. But I just wanted to talk finally about Adam Doueihi finding his shoulders.
Yeah.
So good. So good to watch.
I mean, with Doueihi defending like he is, we don't really have a defensive liability in the team. Like, at the moment, like, there's no one. Maybe Luai's a pretty good defender. Like, while he might not put guys on the ground, he gets himself in the way in the right ways. Lockie's pretty good defender for a 19-year-old 6.
He's okay.
Like, and Adam and I think Toa has been an exceptionally good defender in his 2 games so far. So yeah, like, it's really no surprise when you look at it because, everybody's defending pretty well. It's good on you, John Morris. Like, you obviously, learned some valuable lessons from the results last year. Credit where credit is due. I think that Adam Doueihi, man, like, this is a dude who. His career was at the crossroads. He was touch and go about whether he was going to have an NRL like team to play for at one point. And full credit to him, man. Like he's come back. He's currently the leading goal scorer in the NRL equal. Nick Meaney's ahead of him on points because he scored tries and Adam hasn't. And he's kicking at 85%. And he kicked some serious goals on the weekend in the wind. Mate, having a goal kicker that good in the side. And just, I think I mentioned it in the Discord, having this version of Adam Dewey in the team, this like 2022 model Adam Dewey, is a luxury. Like he looks like the guy who was our best player. Yeah, it's a luxury to have him, and I hope he keeps it up. I hope he looks like that every week.
I hope so too, mate. The guy that we haven't spoken about was Tito Taruva, but almost, just like Terrell May, you expect those performances. But
it's leading try scorer.
Yeah, let it be known. And I reckon if he stays with us till he retires, he'll beat Noffo's record, I think.
I actually find it fascinating that they went right and set up a try to Taruva, and it was almost like, and I'm talking about last week, and it was almost like they went, oh, we should go right. And you know what I mean? Like before he scored that try, like everything was to Dewey and Skelton.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they were like, oh fuck, actually we've got Sunia Taruva on the right wing, and we forgot about that. And now everything is going out there. And my gosh, he's a good finisher. I know he developed a little bit of a reputation on the end of that Penrith line, probably by idiots, but of just being a bit of a walkover merchant, he's not many of his tries are walkover tries. He's wrong footing defenders at the right time. He's doing things in ways that I'm used to West Tigers right wingers, like dogging it and going back in field, or like getting smashed over the sideline. Sunia just finds a way. So he's definitely a good finisher.
A very un-Tigers-like winger indeed. Anything else on the Dolphins game before we look towards the Warriors match?
I just have to say that if you haven't had a chance to watch an NRL game at KO Stadium before, and you ever do get a chance, don't miss the chance. I think it's a fabulous stadium to watch a high quality football game at. Brisbane isn't known for suburban ground NRL. It's the only one that we have. Parking a car in the back streets in front of someone's house and wandering down to the stadium to watch a West Tigers game. As a person who's lived in Brisbane for more than 20 years now, was a pretty rare treat. I was pretty chuffed with the whole game day experience. The Redcliffe fans, man, they're different. They're just chill as, like they're like, which you wouldn't be surprised about, because the whole lifestyle of people up on the peninsula is just like, oh man, I'm just gonna sit on the Shorncliffe Pier and have a beer. But yeah, I think or Woody Point Jetty, we should say. So no, hats off to the Dolphins fans and the Dolphins. The whole Redcliffe Dolphins organisation, because they put on a really fun day. Lots of food trucks there. The vibe was good. And there was only about 50 Tigers fans, what it felt like, in a stadium of 10,000. But geez, the Tigers fans we were different than the Dolphins fans. The Tigers fans were belligerent and and rowdy and in their face and obnoxious. Like, and as all the Dolphins fans went to leave the stadium, all like this little pocket of Tigers fans were like, no, and I'm just like, oh, calm down, man.
Well, yeah, we've got no right doing three straight spoons.
No.
It's no, you sold the dream, mate. I'm gonna have to get up there.
Oh yeah, we got Phil from the UK, the Salford fans back. Hey Phil, we got
Phil.
I don't know if you've met Phil, but yeah, Phil's one of our biggest fans. He's from Salford, so he had the Noffer experience, and we've also got Bryce in the chat. G'day Bryce, g'day Phil.
He also had the Jackson Hastings experience, but that was a better experience than what we had with Jackson.
He had the Sheens experience too.
Oh, he did too. I've got some stories about David Nofaluma during his time in Salford off the field, but that's for another day. Let's look towards this game on Sunday, 6:15 in the evening, Sydney time, Phil, that is. We are playing the New Zealand Warriors. The Warriors have also gone 2 on the trot, so this will be an interesting game. I am just going to kick this off by simply saying that this forward pack is the best forward pack that we've played this year. 2 Tier 1 internationals in the front row. There's a very, very sharp hooker that loves to get out and run the footy. I think they've got the most dummy half runs in the league. They've got a really underrated lock forward in Aaron Clark, who I think can do a bit of damage and really move our big boys around. And 2 back rowers who have seen a lot of football. Kurt Catewell's had a very, very successful career, and Murata Niokore has done some good stuff. So yeah, we're in for a good one, and I'm really, really interested to see how personally Fanua and Terrell take their matchups with Mitchell Barnett and James Fisher-Harris. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it shapes as a similar contest. They've got running halves. They've got their marquee men are in the middle. Redcliffe's marquee men are in the middle. Saifidi, Gilbert. Similar side. Warriors don't travel very well generally, except against the West Tigers. We haven't beaten the Warriors since 2019.
Yeah, and I don't think we've won 3 in a row for a similar amount of time. So
now's the time to manifest that. Let's go.
and Campbelltown is a graveyard, so that's changed too.
We won a couple there late last year.
Yeah, we did. But this feels a little bit like the Dragons game of last year. 2 sides are in a little bit of good form. Tigers on the up, sold out crowd. But the feel is different this year, and I'm confident of a win, which is something that I'm typically not. In terms of where we can win this game, it's similar to last week in terms of there are holes around their outside backs. They've got a couple of players out. Obviously, Dallin's out, Rogers out, Adam Pompey's moved to the wing, Rocco Berry's coming to the centres. So the defensive combinations are going to be different. Obviously, Skelly, if he does play, he's been named today, which is massive. There's a gross size mismatch on that edge because he's up against Taintua Piki, so I'd be bombing there all day long. Ali Leitao is an absolute beast in attack, but I think defensively he can be exploited. So I guess it's a really, really crucial week for us to get our attack right, because if our halves can play straight and deep and give Jareen Bullard and those outside backs the time and space that they need, we'll score tries.
Yeah, so I guess that's a pretty good segue to having a quick look at the team list. Unchanged.
And while it was right to go, they said that was just cork, so that was fine. It wasn't a bad one either, so he's obviously not going to miss a week. But Skelly, it was reported by Fatima Cadeau in the early Mail article in the Daily Telegraph yesterday that he was cleared of any sort of major injury, but then a Tuesday fitness test would determine his suitability for the game. He's been named, but obviously things can change through the week, and he might twinge it during captain's run and whatever else. But I guess for me personally, I'm really interested to see what kind of contingency plan, touch wood, it doesn't happen. But with Charlie Stain seemingly picking up an injury last week, I'm curious as to what we do, because so far Tape is the only recognised outside back on that extended bench.
Yeah, going to assume it's just going to be him. I think they're not going to bring somebody in from outside the squad. I mean, it's either going to be that or Heath Mason playing in the centres and maybe pushing Toa to the wing or something like that. I don't know. I'd say that's pretty blatantly Fatape, which I'm happy with. Fatape's been in the 2 weeks that he's been in the New South Wales Cup team, aside from Tristan Hope, he's been the best player in that team. He's been the only player in that team who's looked like he was above that level.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty happy with that. Look, I think that I don't want to downplay the Warriors. I don't want to downplay the complexity of this as an analysis piece, but I think it's pretty straightforward. The Warriors are a side who, they lack class in the spine. They've got okay players in the spine. There's nobody outright terrible, but we've got to look at Nickel Clockstad. He's an above average fullback. Harris Tavita, probably, I mean, not really one of the better NRL quality halves going around. Neither's Luke Metcalf. Wade Egan's a pretty middling hooker. It's a side that's probably going to, uh, if we can hold them out, if we can hang in there with them and not let those guys get confidence, they're going to run out of creative spark and impetus, and then it should kind of fall apart for them, really. That old adage, like drag somebody into deep water and drown them. I think that's sort of how we'll approach it, which seems to be how we approached both the previous games anyway. So what that means is business as usual, just like it was against the Dolphins. It was business as usual. There was nothing new. It looked like very similar approach. The Dolphins were better than Parramatta, but it still worked. Will the Warriors be better than the Dolphins? I don't think so. Personally, I don't see it because the Dolphins were playing at home. They started off really, really well. I think the Dolphins had more advantages and more quality than the Warriors do. I think the Dolphins are underperforming so far this year. I think they will win more games. I think that I'd be expecting a win here as long as we don't shit ourselves and some bad habits come creeping back in. And the more that I see this Tigers team, the more that I see the impact of these Jerome Luais and Sunia Taruvas around the squad, the more confident I am that they're keeping themselves emotionally in check. They're keeping themselves grounded. I think it's really, if we're going to struggle here, it's probably going to be, yeah, I mean, really similarly to the way we struggled against Redcliffe, which will be, guys like Barnett and Fisher Harris and Kurt Capewell, getting second phase, and Luke Metcalf and the likes of that, using the speed, to get around tired middle defenders or just guys that aren't so agile in the middle. But outside of that, I don't really see where the points come from for them. I don't want to come across too confident, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah, we just got to be really mindful of their ability to get a quick play the ball away, scatter some defenders, and let Wade Egan dictate. I think that typically they're a great yardage team. I think with Chance and Leia Tower are both good from that point of view. They're big bodies, but Rocco, Pompey, and Tuapiki, has me sort of confident that we should be able to repel them. But our fit tackle options needs to be strong. Kick chase needs to be strong, and we need to ensure that our middles really, really respond early and get into this contest and really take it personal against both Fish and Barnett. Phil actually makes a point that he thinks our bench is better and that it could be the difference. I think you're right, Phil, but do not underestimate Vaimunga, formerly known as Sifakula, and who's the other fella?
Halasima.
They're both hard-running middle forwards that will go all day, have a bit of skill, a bit of versatility. They're edge players predominantly, but Webby gives them some time in the middle and they can cause us some trouble. So it's going to be on us to ensure that those boys that come off the pine really, go to another level. And if they do that, then I think that we can be excited. The thing to look at as well is that last week, the Chooks gifted them so much possession, and they really only managed to come up with 14 points, which speaks to I think that the Chooks right now have more imperfections defensively than us. So providing that we don't give them the piggybacks downfield via our discipline, in terms of penalties and ball handling, we can be confident that providing once again that Jerome's fit tackle options improve, that we should be able to keep them away from our try line and hopefully record another positive score line. With that in mind, Mac, give me a score prediction, mate.
Yeah, I think we win. I think that we win this game 30-12.
Okay, nice. I will say I'm going to go 24-10. That's what I'll do. I'll back another win. 3 in a row for the first time in many, many, many years for the Tigers, and a good win against a recently informed side at Campbell.
If we do this, that round 5 fixture against the Broncos at Suncorp Stadium is going to be The media will be talking about that one all week.
Indeed, they will. I mean, the storylines are all there to be written. But
Nudge versus the resurgent Tigers.
yeah, 1 week at a time, mate. We got to deal with this Warriors team.
Nah, that's quantum.
Quantum indeed. Pathways wrap cup. Look, the first half was disgusting. There's no other way than putting it. The only shining light was a nice try for Solfar Tape, where the work of Kurt Falls and then subsequently Charlie Staines created some space. But other than that, it was pretty atrocious. Our defence was pretty porous through the middle, and they took advantage of that. Some tries to Ben Tolte and Ofahiki Ogden, but that second half, I had no idea that was coming, and there's one man in particular who you've already mentioned that was almost solely responsible for the upturn in form there.
I think Tristan Hope might be the he might be the nexus being. Are you familiar with the concept of a nexus being?
Please expand.
A nexus being is like a comic book Marvel universe thing where there's like in every version of reality there's like one anchor being that only exists in that reality, right?
Okay, all right, I get it now.
And if they die in that reality, the whole reality dies. Tristan Hope comes from nowhere. He's just this like unassuming gentleman who happens to be managed by some dude I used to work with, and his last name's Hope. And he scores 4 tries from dummy half in the second half to win the game. Debuts in his first week on a training trial. He's the nexus being.
Sign that man.
I think he deserves it. I think he deserves an upgrade for next year. We've got the spots. We've certainly got a few players off contract that we need to move on, and we don't really have much depth at hooker. Like I think having him as a third option makes all the sense at this point, and he couldn't have done much more to prove that he deserves it. Like I think he could do worse than having Tristan Hope as a third option. Look, all 4 of his tries were barge over tries to a degree. I mean, they showed deft touch. Like it was, he didn't he got through the line. Like they were clean tries. Like it was, good creativity. But I liked the rest of his play as well. Like I saw him put in a real nice kick, midway through that second half. That I really think actually kind of changed the flow of the game. Like he put a clearing kick downfield. It was nearly a 40-20, but it sort of veered off towards the try line instead, early in the tackle count. And it turned the who were we playing again? Oh, the bloody Bears. Yeah, it turned the Bears around, and I think that from there we kind of got on top of them. So, full credit to Tristan Hope. Congratulations, mate. I hope one day we get to have a chat on the potty, and I'm confident that day will be very soon.
Well done, Hopey. Heath Mason looked wayward at 5'8". Obviously with sin binned in pretty poor circumstances, obviously with descent, even though Casey Badger came down pretty hard on it for both sides. But
should I go on the Casey Badger rant?
No, let's not do that.
Okay, yeah, we don't want those sort of headlines. Last time somebody went on a Casey Badger rant, they got in trouble with the media.
No, we have the utmost respect for referees on this podcast. But moving to fullback and Max Lyles becoming the left-sided half was an unlikely masterstroke. And one I am delighted to see pay off. Lylesy, I mean, look, Heath, once he finally started running the ball and put the foot down and played straight, looked excellent and importantly set up a try for somebody who I cannot remember. It was the play before one of Hope's many tries. But Max Lyles' poise and some of the kicks he put in was really, really impressive. Anything else there?
I thought it was overdue. I thought that like Heath Mason as the 6 was playing really poorly, and I think that credit to Aaron Payne because he usually doesn't show the versatility in the middle of the game. It's something that I went on a bloody rampage at him for last week, and lo and behold, this week he sees Heath Mason being essentially ineffective, and not just ineffective, but like downright, like he was acting like a bit of a douchebag, to be honest. He got himself sin bin, back chatting the ref. He was packing the shits every time something didn't go his way. He really gave the impression he didn't want to be there. He gave the impression that he was, yeah, felt like he was, above the. I don't know, something wrong with him. Like he was pissed off all game. And then move him to fullback, and it was like, yeah, now this is the jersey I like, and away he went. And at that level, his running game is a big threat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think after a half a season of New South Wales Cup, I think you'll start to see him probably start to dominate with that running game. He just needs to stay at fullback. Has he named at fullback this week?
He is.
Great.
Charlie Staines is missing. I'm not too sure where he is. I'm assuming an injury because he's not even on the extended bench for first grade.
I don't know. I think there's something else going on.
Oh well, wait and see what the rest of the week brings. But Latu Fainu is back in jersey 6. Kurt Falls remains at 7, so I'm really keen to see how that halves pairing gels. I'm really happy to see a structured, methodical halfback parked next to Latu at the scrum base. But Max Lyles keeps his spot in jersey 14, so I'm interested to see how he'll be injected. But look, it must be said, this New Zealand Warriors team, this New South Wales Cup team is elite. Tamare Martin is far too good for that level. Tanner Boyd is a phenomenal kicker of the ball. They've got some big, strong, fast outside backs. So it's gonna be a tough week.
Freddie Lussick on the bench.
Yeah. Lussick on the bench. Laban in the back row. Bunty starting.
They got Morgan Harper, the greatest player to ever do it at centre.
Ed Corsi, who is far too good for that level, but
No, it's a bloody good team.
not good enough for the NRL. So, yeah, get ready for that one. I'm really interested to see how these boys go after they've got a win out of their belt.
I honestly don't understand what's going on with this New South Wales Cup team. Like I thought I did, and then they came back and they won. I was before that comeback. I could have sworn black and blue that like half these guys had like basically just decided that they don't want to play anymore. Like it really like the vibe of the team is like the vibe that you get when you see a team that aren't playing for the coach or each other anymore. And then suddenly it was just like Heath Mason went to fullback and him and Tristan Hope just single-handedly went, nah. Now, if that can inspire the rest of the guys to actually like put in an effort, all the power to them. I don't know, man. Like I think Kurt Falls started the game well. If that was a bit of rust and that's what sort of led to him falling away, and he can put in an 80-minute performance like he's capable of, that might help. But yeah, I still have concerns. I don't know what it is about him, but like there's the effort levels of a lot of these guys. It reminds me a lot of the SG ball side. In that, like, it seems like there's a lot of frustrated guys in the team that know that they're, elite and they are trying to play to a structure and the structure's failing them. And instead of sticking to the structure, they kind of just go, yeah, I'm going to try to go win the game single-handedly and make a big play myself.
Yeah.
Which is probably, hey, I know some of you listen to this. It's probably why he's still in New South Wales Cup. So, maybe you guys should, just play as a team. Shake each other's hands, have breakfast with each other's missuses, and love one another and win for each other.
There you have it, boys. Good luck this weekend. Switching to flag, a 44-18 loss in Victoria, which was pretty ugly. It's one of those games you just flush it, you start again. There was a double to Jack Piccirilli, who has express speed, but that was realistically the only positive. They play the last-placed Warriors this Sunday. We'll jump straight into West Harold Mats. I watched this game. You jumped in for the second half, and that was when you saw an upturn in fortune, but in the end they couldn't get it done. They ran into a Parramatta side that was, quite frankly, really good defensively for that level. But at the same time, we probably didn't do enough in good ball territory when the opportunities presented themselves. And believe you me, there were plenty of opportunities. There was a really nice individual effort from Josh Vella to score our first. That was probably the shining light by this week for these boys before, I believe, one last game for the season. Finally, just want to give let Siatama Have. I know that our thoughts are with him. I hear it was only precautionary for him going to hospital, but really hoping he's all right and he bounces back better than ever. Anything there?
Disappointing. I'll let you finish the whole junior wrap up before I speak.
No worries. Balmain, Harold, Matts, they went down to the Warriors, I believe, 22-12. Look, there was a great pass from the fullback, Thomas Arroyan, to set up the right winger, Levi Pulfrey, for our second try. I continue to like what I see from Christian Azzi. He has some really, really good touches, and the try down the blind side on the stroke at half time was some really, really nice eyes up play. They play the fifth placed Newcastle Knights this week, those boys. I don't think they can make finals. Balmain SG Ball and West SG Ball, I will leave for you. Tasha Gale and Lisa Fiaola. Tasha Gale had a loss. Lisa Fiaola had a win. Andrew Johns Cup unfortunately lost their semi in a tough loss to the Knights, and that ends their campaign. But the team of the week, Laurie Daly Cup, are into the grand final. They beat the undefeated North Coast Bulldogs, who have been a wonderful team all year. Their left edge is really, really classy. Some moments that are worth noting. Beautiful hands from one Teen Comer Party, who people will remember from our Harold Matt side last year, to pick the ball up off the deck in pouring rain to score our first try. And Sterling Faumui, who sort of flirted between Harold Matthews and LD Cup as well. He had his fingerprints on nearly everything we did good, so credit to him. But one that will excite people is a very, very tall, rangy, goal-kicking winger on the left-hand side. It is Pat Richardson's son, and he looks really, really good. I'm really, really keen to see how he comes on, and it's always good when you see a young fella who's the son of a former great. So congratulations to Aiden and Pat, and Aiden kicked 3 from 3 too, with some pretty tough efforts in the pouring rain as well. So very, very excited to watch that game, and we'll live tweet it for those of you who don't have Bar TV Sports. Mac.
Yeah, he's a Nepo baby, so he's going to get every opportunity, isn't he? Good on you, but I mean, he's obviously contributing every week. He seems to appear on the score sheet, score on a try, and he's kicking goals, and he's got the genetics. So good on you, buddy. On to this SG Ball. I'll talk about the Magpies first. I thought that for the most part, they lost 34-10 to the Parramatta Eels, undefeated Parramatta Eels. I thought for the most part, as much as that scoreline says otherwise, they were pretty much evenly matched. I think that across the park, we were pretty much evenly matched, with the exception of our just polish. So the side really kind of just puts itself under a lot of pressure by sort of, again, as I alluded to before, veering away from the core game plan. I think that a lot of it comes down to, not having the most dominant, classiest halves in the side, and at the same time having exceptionally good players in weird positions. So you've got Hiamasi Marcassini, who, he obviously is a professional because he's sticking to his structure, he's doing his job, but he's not being used as a weapon effectively. And you can see that players like him, players like Archie Duncan, players like Phoenix Godinay, even somebody like Cohen Lewis, they're trying to take it upon themselves to, be the playmaker and the organizer and the game breaker. You see Archie Duncan getting his hands on the ball, one off the ruck, and trying to ball play a lot, and it's disappointing because I can understand why these guys, they're trying to put their best foot forward. They know that at this level, you have to stand out or you might never progress to the next grade, and it can be really hard. It's a crowded market if you don't continue with the momentum that you've built on top of. But it's not going to matter if they're losing games. If you're the star of a side that's losing games and you look great and the whole team looks poor, it sometimes is a reflection on you as a player. Like I remember seeing this a lot as a kid, the star player in a team, not the most, team centric player. The adults around the group, the coaches, the experienced people looking at that can sort of tell, like, this guy's not a team player, and that sort of stuff doesn't really translate very well as you go through the grades. So yeah, I think if they could just simplify a bit more, and I know we had this conversation that you think that they are simplifying it, and really it doesn't matter anyway because like they're just not quite up to it. I think that just focus on bringing Marcassini onto the ball in better positions. Like every time that he gets ball, he's got three straight on him. Like most of his runs are one off the ruck coming out of trouble. It's not the best way to utilize a talent like him.
Yeah.
I will focus on one positive. Riley Oitman is definitely going to progress to the next level. He's got a lot of quality. He's very quick and he creates a lot of things out of nothing. I think you mentioned that he's got a lot of Pappenhausen-like qualities about him. I can see that for sure. There was one try he scored in this game where he swept around on that sort of shape that we run, where the fullback comes around the outside on the right, and he hit the ball at pace instead of chiming in with the pass first mentality. He actually put his foot down and hit that ball at pace, spread to the right, and he just got on the outside of the man and split them, and away he went down the sideline. And not only that, but the fullback coming across couldn't come across fast enough, and this was from about 40 out.
Yeah.
So he's got blistering pace, and he must be deceptively quick too, because I think that fullback was maybe 2 steps too slow getting off the mark to get across, and that was
Yeah.
enough for Riley to get on the outside. So good on Riley. As far as the Balmain game, that was really disappointing. So these guys are there's obviously a lot of, I would say the issues with these guys must be prep. I think, and look, they're high school kids still, some of them, and they've probably got real complex lives trying to balance what is almost professional football with who the hell knows what's going on in their personal lives. You got some of these kids that are over here on scholarships from New Zealand away from their family members and stuff like that. So I don't want to I don't want to dig on these young dudes too much, but I think that if they can get their prep right, they just came out of the blocks just lost. They just didn't seem like they really wanted to be there. I think I was having a conversation with a couple of people on Twitter, and one of the jokes was it looked like Logan must have been hooking up with Mark Tenusa's girlfriend or something, the way he wasn't passing it to him. But I just think, realistically, I think it's a good side. They came back. I thought Joseph Parch played well on the left. Logan Dininger made a good length of the field try. I don't understand why they switched the positions of Ben Moen and Philippe Huahulu, because Benny Moen, there was one high ball, he just didn't have a clue what he was doing. As a winger, he went up and he just tried to catch it above his head, behind his head, not even looking at the ball, and it just fell, and the try came off the back of that. So they went down 36-22. At one point, they were behind 34 to, I believe. Yeah, they actually scored the last 3 consecutive tries converted.
Yeah.
So they were down 36-4 at one point. No, sorry, 34-4, and there was a penalty goal right at the end of the Roosters. So yeah, it's a disappointing result. Blake Van Dree, he might be one of the toughest little fucking players I've ever seen, because he got belted. Absolutely belted 4 times. And then he scored a try running a courage line at left back row after he got belted 4 times. So shout out to Blake Frandry. You are a tough cookie.
And we love him here. Just looking to the week ahead, 2 winnable and very important games for these boys. Balmain's got the 9th place Sharks this week, and West SG got the 14th place Sea Eagles. It's very much last chance saloon for the Magpies, whereas over at Balmain, they can pretty much cement their place in the finals this week. The redeeming quality of this Balmain side is, they're pretty professional after a loss. They got absolutely trounced by South, but, they flushed it and they came back with a good win the week after. So I'm hoping for something similar. And as for West, they have to win this week. It's as simple as that. So wishing those guys luck. Mac, I think we're done. Anything else you want to touch on?
No, go Tigers. Thanks for tuning in, everybody who commented in the chat. Everybody who hasn't yet, follow us on Instagram, TikTok. We're posting up lots of reels and clips of our weekly episode. So if you are unable to watch the whole episode, it's a good way to connect with us anyway and get a little bit of that going. We'll post up parts of the episode as smaller YouTube videos as well. Share the love, tell your Tigers friends, post in your Facebook groups, get the word out. We're trying to make this a thing. I know everybody who listens to it likes it. And also shout out to the Tigers fans that I was chatting with on the weekend. Had a couple of people next to me. One of them was a podcast listener.
Unreal.
Yeah, and there was another one from Adelaide that I met there too. So shout out to you guys. It was great to share a game with you, and congrats on watching the Tigers win a rare one up here in Queensland.
And thank you for your support, most importantly. Manifesto win, guys, 3 in a row.
Quantum.
3 in a row. First time in many, many years. West Tigers Faithful, episode 25. We'll see you next week.
Quantum Tigers. Let's go. All right, let's play the music.
We're only strangers.